The following program is sponsored by the Building Wisconsin Television Network.
Welcome to Building Wisconsin. I'm Stuart Keith, and on today's show, well, we're learning why and seeing how many sewer laterals are being replaced in the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewerage District. So let's get started with Steve Breitlow from Plumbers 75. Well, Steve, great to see you again here on Building Wisconsin. It looks like the guys are hard at work. What's going on here today?
No, this is a pretty interesting job. We've got an individual home here in the city of Milwaukee. They're replacing the sanitary sewer line, the storm sewer line, and replacing the lead service, all in the same time in the same ditch.
Why are they replacing it all?
Well, it's part of infrastructure. The city of Milwaukee's infrastructure is very old. There's been a lot of work done to replace the mains in the street, but the mains in the street aren't going to be as effective if the laterals going into the homes are still leaking and they're still combining storm and sanitary sewer going into the new lines. In years past, the storm and the sanitary sewers were tied together. Problem is MMSD is going to treat all that clear rainwater. So the idea of the cities are trying to separate the sanitary from the storm, so we're only treating the sanitary sewer water, not storm water.
Oh, and that's the homeowner's responsibility, those laterals, right?
Correct. Yeah, the homeowners got to do their part and the city's got to do their part. You know, and what's also kind of neat too is MMSD now has got some grant programs to help make it more affordable for homeowners to get these hookups done. And the more these get done, the better off we're going to be as being efficient, more cost effective. Treating all that stormwater is very expensive. It's going to be a much better upgrade for our whole infrastructure in the city.
It sounds like it's pretty complicated, and I tell you, looking at the professionals that are working here, I mean, you have to be safe, you're working underground, not to mention, look at the investment in the equipment by Mid-City. I mean, you got a hydrovac, you got a couple excavators, you got dump trucks. I mean, this isn't weekend warrior work.
Right. No, a lot of people think, you know, we're gonna dig a hole, we're gonna put a couple pipes in the ground, and I think it's pretty simple, but this is a crew of operators, laborers, and plumbers, all highly trained. They're experienced working together. There's an extreme amount of safety concerns, public concerns. We're shutting down the street, shutting down the sidewalk. Everybody's got to get through this in a day. Generally, you got to be done in less than a day from start to finish and get everything back up and running. The human resources are important and the skill training is great, but the amount of equipment and mechanical tools they got on this job to perform this work is incredible. And you need a highly skilled, coordinated crew to be able to pull that off effectively and safely.
Well, as our infrastructure continues to age, there's going to be more and more projects like this being done, and it's going to be great for the viewers to see and learn about what's being done and really question whether they need this type of work on their homes.
Well, they do, and you know what would be better is, I mean, right now we're doing one home, this is great, but you look at the amount of equipment and the amount of people it takes to do this job, so they're going to do this one project and pull up all this stuff and go move to another site. You know, if somehow we could get coordinated where the city could do blocks at a time, we'd have a much better efficiency, we get this stuff done quicker, and it would be a much more efficient way to do it.
Again, it all comes back to good communication. That's whether if it's between you and your contractor or you and your neighbors, right?
Exactly.
Well, it's going to be fascinating to see this project. Who are we going to catch up with?
Well, I guess we're going to be talking to Becky from MMSD and Tom Zoulek from Mid-City Plumbing, one of the principals of that company, and see how this infrastructure project goes from city to homeowner.
Well, infrastructure is at the top of a lot of people's mind these days. It's always in the news, and this is a great example of how it's not just big municipal projects. It relates directly to homeowners here in our community. Thanks a lot, Steve. I'll see you again on another show.
Yep, my pleasure, Stu.
Well, Tom, really appreciate you coming on Building Wisconsin. And boy, your guys are hard at work. They haven't been here that long, but they've made short work of this trench. So take us through what's going on at this location.
This homeowner was notified by the city of Milwaukee that they had infiltration from the sanitary sewer getting into the municipal storm sewer.
Well, how would they ever know that?
The city was doing some public sewer work, and they went into the residents' homes and they did a dye test.
Okay, now those dye tests, is that where they put the color essentially, or a marker in the toilet, they flush it?
Correct.
Ideally, that all goes into the sanitary main and goes down to MMSD, right?
Correct, that wasn't the case here. They flushed dye down and they wound up getting colored water into the storm sewer.
Oh, you're kidding me. So that could be raw sewage going right into the storm sewer, which gets dumped into a lake or a river or wherever, right?
Exactly.
Is that a pretty common problem?
It can be. Certain areas, certain situations, alterations have been done.
And so they then contacted you?
Correct. So then the homeowner then is responsible to make that correction. And they knew it was on the privately owned section of the sewer. So the process started with the homeowner reaching out to different contractors. We were one of them, saying that he was given orders by the city of Milwaukee that he had to fix this infiltration problem.
Okay.
We came out, we cameraed the sewer, and we found that out there in the street underneath a 48-inch water main, the sanitary sewer was broken, and right next to it was his private storm sewer, which was also broken.
Oh my gosh, so both of his sewer laterals, the storm and the sanitary, were broken, combining and just being dumped into the storm sewer?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and so you said that you stuck a camera down there. Now, did I see that those are all clay pipes?
Yes, so this house will be vintage 1930s, 1940s, should be 30-inch long clay pipes, cement mortared together.
And you said that there's two different types of sewers coming out of the house. There's a
Correct.
storm sewer and a sanitary sewer. Do all homes have both of those going out?
No, not all homes. This section of the city of Milwaukee has separated sewers, so it has storm and sanitary in it. Some areas only have sanitary, some areas are combination.
What's carried in each one?
Sanitary sewer is going to be all of your normal waste from inside, your toilet, your kitchen sink, the lavatories. Storm sewer on this house is downspouts.
Okay, so just downspouts. Would there also be drain tile ever tied into it?
There is drain tile in this house, but because of the age of the house, it didn't have a sump pump. Now a sump pump could go to the storm sewer. Here, this drain tile went to the sanitary sewer.
So what are you actually doing to replace it? I mean, obviously there's a trench here, but what
Correct.
materials are you
So we
using?
started inside the house, broke a hole inside the house. We're starting from the clean out inside, which is just inside that basement wall. And we're laying with new PVC pipe out to the main and going to connect to the main. So we're replacing the sanitary sewer. We're going to replace the section of the storm sewer that we expose. And this house happened to have a lead water service. We're going to replace the lead water service at the same time.
That makes sense. I know we did a show on that previously, and that's really important. You know, replace it when the opportunity arises. And since they're sharing the same trench, it makes
Exactly.
sense.
It would be very difficult not to do all of them at the same time. And as part of this, we're going to eliminate that infiltration of the interior drain tile getting to the sanitary sewer, and we're going to put a sump pump in.
Okay, so it's a pretty intense job. And when I say intense, yeah, in all the logistics of getting it done, but more importantly, the safety. I mean, this is big equipment. Heck, you have a hydrovac there, you have the excavators. I mean, you're digging in underground. We did a previous show on Building Wisconsin on underground utilities. You never know what you're gonna find on there. That all adds up to a very volatile situation if you're not properly trained, right?
Correct. Have to have trained professionals. We have trained plumbers, laborers, and operators out here that do this on a daily basis, been doing it for many years. They know what they're doing here.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you want everybody to go back and you don't want anything to happen. And this is a great case in point. I mean, do you guys do quite a few of these jobs?
Yeah, we'll do hundreds of these in the course of a year.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, well, before we got to this stage of the process, what got it started?
So, as I mentioned, we came out, we cameraed the sewer.
Yep.
We found the problem. We talked to the homeowner, gave them a price. They decided to go with us on this. We also then invoked the MMSD Pipecheck program to help us with that. That's going to help give the homeowner some rebate dollars towards this work.
Awesome.
Then we planned out Digger's Hotline, prep for the job, find out what utilities are in here. Then we coordinated with the homeowner for entry, trying to get this work done in the course of 1 to 2 days at most, so that there's the least amount of inconvenience to them. And then proper planning on our part and the homeowner's part. He had to move things out of the way. We have to have the materials ready, the equipment ready, the hydrovacs here, so on and so forth.
Sure, and you guys showed up here around 7 o'clock this morning. How long is it going to take to complete?
Correct. We hope to be almost 100% complete by the end of today.
Wow, that's awesome, and that's a mark of true professionals. You get in here, get the job done correctly, and get it finished. I want to learn more about the process when it's a little further along. Right now I'm going to catch up with Becky from MMSD to learn more about that pipe check program.
Great.
Well, Becky, really appreciate you coming on Building Wisconsin today. And I was just talking with Tom about what's going on at this home, and we wanted to catch up with you. A couple things. One, to learn more about that Pipecheck program. But before we learn about that, let's talk about this situation and how many of these exist around the city of Milwaukee and beyond.
So most homeowners don't realize that they are actually responsible for doing all the maintenance and care of their sanitary sewer lateral. So most homeowners do very little day-to-day to make sure that the health of their sanitary lateral is in good condition.
And when you talk about the health, this one was unhealthy because it was crushed underneath the water main and all the raw sewage had been leaking into the storm sewer, which ultimately ends up in either a lake, a river, a stream, wherever.
That is very correct, and it is a significant issue that we have throughout the whole Milwaukee County area. We really have identified that private property is one of our major sources of clear water getting into our sanitary sewer system. And additional clean water getting into our sanitary sewer system just means that we have more water that we have to clean, which was once clean and now dirty because it got mixed in with sanitary waste.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Not only is the raw sewage a problem getting into the storm sewer, MMSD, you guys are concerned about clear water, rainwater essentially, leaking into the sanitary sewer and overloading the system?
Yes, that is correct. What happens is during major rain events, groundwater and downspouts and sump pumps, if they're connected to your sanitary sewer or your sanitary lateral is in poor condition, that extra clean water is getting into the collection system and adding a bunch of additional water that isn't supposed to be there.
So what you're saying is any of the drain tile that's underneath the foundation or underneath the basement floor, a lot of those are tied into the sanitary line?
Yeah, it was traditional construction pre-1954 that builders were allowed to connect the foundation drains directly to your sanitary sewer lateral. So that's adding a significant portion of clean water during rain events and even during normal everyday weather.
Sure. Well, a lot of this is out of sight, out of mind for homeowners. How do I know as a homeowner, if I have a problem or I'm contributing to the problem?
Well, if you have to call someone to clean out your lateral on a regular basis because you have slow drains, especially during major rain events. Also, if you have a lot of roots or backups and you have to get your lateral cleaned. And if you have any signs of backups in your basement, possibly when you aren't there, where you possibly have some debris around your floor drain, those are all signs that you need to take some action to look in the condition of your lateral.
So probably a good idea if you're a prudent homeowner, contact somebody like a mid-city or a plumber. Get out here, send a camera down the line, and that can pretty much tell you if you have an issue or you don't.
Yes, that is a wonderful idea. And in fact, you want to make sure that your plumber who you hire to come do an inspection of your lateral also has the capability to televise your lateral. Because really you need to be able to see the inside condition to really know where you're at if needing to have replacement completed or not.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, let's head around the side because I know there's some other areas that are leading to clear water entering this system. When Tom and I were talking earlier, we were saying how, most homes have eaves trough or gutters and they have downspouts. And in this particular case, this downspout is being tied right into the storm sewer, and they're going to have to leave it there because they don't want to create an ice hazard by just having it spill on the sidewalk.
That is correct. Many homes built in that pre-1954 time period actually connected their downspouts into their sanitary sewer laterals because it was safer and more efficient for them to deal with the stormwater at that time. But as we spoke about earlier, that's not the best case for our current conditions. So in this case, they are installing this downspout into an improved storm lateral. Because in this municipality, they require that all downspouts be connected to a storm lateral, which therefore keeps the clean water and the sanitary sewer water in two separate locations.
And that's what you were saying is so important. You don't want to mix those.
That is correct. And in this case, it also reduces your safety risk in this situation because you aren't creating an icy sidewalk that the homeowner has to walk on.
Sure. Are there any other alternatives?
One option is to disconnect your downspouts to the connection that goes into the ground. and make sure it drains to 3 feet away from the foundation of your home. Or you can also look at putting in some green infrastructure such as a rain garden or a rain barrel, which helps deal with your rainwater.
Yeah, again, we did a previous show on those rain gardens. Those are awesome, but to your first point, saying how you could extend this out maybe 3 to 6 or 8 feet out, I've seen those where they're hinged, and if you need to mow, you can tilt it up and get underneath it, but obviously in a tight quarters like this along a sidewalk, that'd be a trip hazard. So they really have no choice but to tie it in to a new and improved storm sewer lateral, right?
That is correct for this situation.
Well, Tom also mentioned that the drain tile or the foundation drains underneath the basement floor, they're going to be disconnected, and they're going to be putting in a new sump crock down there and then discharging that clear water out back. Let's go take a look.
So Stu, right here is where we're going to have the discharge of the sump pump come out. And what will happen is that we'll have a PVC section come out of the home, and then we'll put in a flexible pipe and get at least 6 feet away from the home here in order to discharge the sump pump.
Sure, and this makes sense because I look at this low area here, perfect spot for a rain garden. And from past shows, I remember that it's so important to keep all that clear water, whether it's rainwater, snow melt, you want to keep it on location. That's where it's meant to be. It does a world of good to the environment, helps our communities out, keeping it here, not overflowing the system.
That is correct. And if you go to MMSD.com, we have a lot of great information on how to install a rain garden, and also we sell our rain barrels that you can also look at installing.
Sure, I look at it as free water. Why not take advantage of it, and you can create something beautiful in your backyard. And so far in today's show and having you on, we've been talking about a very worrisome topic, right? I mean, all this storm sewer getting mixed up with the sanitary sewer, and a homeowner, you don't want to hear that. But if it does happen, the good news is, as worrisome as all these issues are for homeowners out there, they can take solace in the fact that you guys have this new program called Pipecheck that can help financially in some situations, right?
That's correct, Stu. So we recently started a Pipecheck program which provides a financial incentive to 1 and 2 family homeowners that can offset the cost of the work to do your foundation drain disconnect, your downspout disconnects, and most importantly, the most expensive cost, that lateral repair or replacement.
And that's for homeowners within your service area?
That is correct. You do have to live within the MMSD service area to participate in that program.
So once again, it's probably best for homeowners watching today's show. You own a house within the service area, go to the website. You have a plethora of information there that they can educate themselves on and actually find a certified contractor, right?
That is correct. On our Pipecheck website off of the MMSD.com site, we have lots of information on how to qualify for this program, how the program works, and most importantly, which contractors you can use to participate in the program.
Yeah, and as we've seen so far in today's show, and we'll continue to see until the process is completed, you want to get the right contractor, someone who's knowledgeable and highly trained, highly skilled to get the job done correctly.
That is correct, because there's so many options, and it all depends on what's the most appropriate for your specific home. And working with your contractor, that will give you the best education and how to make the most educated decision.
Well, wonderful to have you on. Thanks for all the great information. Thanks a lot for coming on today's show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Tom, it's been about 4 hours since we last spoke, and the guys are making great progress on this. And, as I was looking at this old clay piping, this is from the sanitary sewer line, that's all totally plugged. I mean, it was broken down there, and all that dirt came in. So no wonder the raw sewage wasn't going into the sanitary main line. It was just going into the storm sewer out to the lake.
Correct. So what we found, we found two major problems. We found a collapsed mainline storm sewer, which caused the sanitary and the storm lateral to fail. We also found an improper connection to the sanitary sewer, which caused a failure as well.
You don't sound too surprised, though. You've run into this before?
Ran into it all kinds of times.
Oh my gosh, and if there's a collapsed main storm sewer line, that's the responsibility of the city. Are they going to have to come out here and re-dig everything up?
Correct. So they came out, they looked at it, they saw what's wrong. They're going to contract with Mid-City to take care of that.
Okay, so that's good. Since you guys already have the trench there, it makes sense for you to bring in probably different equipment, but you can get it done pretty quickly?
Yeah, we'll be done by end of day tomorrow.
Okay, so this project you're hoping to get done in a day, but because you ran into a few different things, you can still get it done pretty quickly and have it done tomorrow. But will the homeowners have use of their sanitary system?
Correct. By the end of day today, they'll have water on, sanitary, sewer will be 100% complete.
Okay, and you know, I said this is all the old clay. You can see how easily it's breaking. It's probably 100 years old, and there's probably miles and miles of this type of piping that's failing throughout the Milwaukee metropolitan area.
Every house up and down the street has this same pipe.
Ooh, that's scary. So hopefully you get the word out and they get it fixed. Now, when I look in here, that is a deep hole. That's got to be close to 14 feet.
Yeah, we're about 14 for the storm sewer, about 12 feet for the sanitary.
And what is this huge pipe right here?
It's a 48-inch water main, transmission main for Milwaukee Waterworks. So this is just a transmission main. It doesn't serve this home. This main on the other side serves the house, but this is a distribution transmission main.
Is that considered pretty big?
Yeah, City of Milwaukee goes up to, I believe, 60-inch water main.
Woo-hoo, holy cow. So you have to negotiate around that. Again, being very careful. The sewer lines are all gravity run, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
you have to go underneath that and make sure you have the proper pitch coming from the house down to the main lines?
That's correct, Stuart. This is kind of a different scenario that the storm sewer is so deep in the street, but it's so deep because of this water main. Typically the storm sewer would be 5 to 6 feet deep, but because of this interference, they have the storm sewer deep and then they come underneath the water main, which typically the storm would be on top of that, but because of the depth of this, both are underneath. Makes it a little bit more challenging, a little more unique.
Okay, now what piping are you using to replace the old clay tile?
So PVC pipe, you have two different types within 5 feet of the building, Schedule 40 PVC 6-inch. Out here, SDR 35 PVC.
And it sounds like the latest, greatest, so these homeowners are never gonna have to worry about failure in the future.
Correct, and it's the most popular material used.
And you know, again, I just marvel at the guys that are working here. I mean, even though you have all the latest, greatest equipment, there's a lot of hands-on work, and look at how dirty it is. These guys really earn their living, and they really have to know what they're doing.
The equipment only can do so much. It's the guys that operate it, know where to dig, how to lay the pipe, to be true craftsmen.
Yeah, it really is. They're artists down here, and yeah, people might laugh and say, look at how dirty they are. They're doing a great job here. To finish up the project, you need to have the inspector come out. I noticed that he was here.
Correct. So we had City of Milwaukee inspect this morning. They did a partial inspection. They're doing a final inspection right now. They'll be doing a dye test, and then we'll be complete.
And that'll take care of all the connections here. It needs to be backfilled. What will you use to backfill it?
In the road, we'll use aggregate slurry. We'll use compacted granular backfill up in the yard.
Okay, and then that'll take care of everything on the outside of the house. I know earlier you had mentioned you were putting in some different components downstairs. Can we go take a look at that?
Yeah, let's go do it. So over here, Stu, earlier you saw the floor was broken up, the sewer was exposed. Now we're complete.
Yeah, and it looks just beautiful. Now, when it was open, it was pretty deep because it went all the way underneath the footings?
Correct. Typical City of Milwaukee house, conventional footing, a couple feet below the footing, it went underneath. Now, that's not the case in every house. It can be challenging. This goes back to what we were talking about, planning the job out, figuring out how you're gonna do it. Finished basement, does the house have a porch across it? Maybe we weren't able to dig all the way in. Maybe we would have had a pipe burst part of this or directional drill part of it. So every house is unique and different.
Boy, that speaks volumes to the importance of communication for a homeowner with the contractor, doesn't it?
Correct, most definitely.
And that probably plays into ultimately to the cost of it, but you're going to get your best value when you have good communication there and you understand all your options, and a good contractor will lead you to the option that's best for your situation, right?
Contractor that's been doing it for a long period of time has seen all these situations, and they can guide you in the right direction.
Sure, that's awesome. So is that the clean out then?
Yeah, so this is a new sanitary sewer clean out. So mainline clean out, full 6-inch clean out. Didn't have that before, they had a 3-inch clean out. Tracer wire, I believe you saw that outside.
Sure, it ran all the way out to the street.
Correct.
And that's in case you ever need to find it again?
Correct. So now we have a non-metallic pipe for the sewer. It's code required to have a tracer wire on it, so you'll be able to hook onto that wire and walk out with a locating device and find where your sewer is.
And somebody might be watching and say, well, what's the big deal? You went with a 6-inch clean out. I mean, why is that important?
Because you can run a full-size cutter through it to clean your sewer. If for some reason you ever had to clean the sewer, now you can get a full-size cutter down it. We weren't able to do that before.
Awesome. That's great to know. And then it looks like all new copper coming in too.
Yep, so here's our new 1-inch copper water service. We tape it when it goes through the concrete so the concrete's not in contact with the copper pipe. new ground strap, new meter setting, City of Milwaukee spec, and then tied back into the existing distribution system.
Again, the market true professionals. Look at how nice that looks. It looks even nicer than the existing concrete, which is a great way to leave it. But this didn't finish the job. You mentioned earlier there's also a new sump crack.
Correct, that's in the back. Let's go take a look. So Stu, as we were talking about earlier, this house did not have a sump pump prior to this. Their foundation drains went to the sanitary sewer.
And that's pretty common in the Milwaukee area, right? Because I think, as Becky was saying, pre-1954, they could tie in foundation drains right into the sanitary sewer, and we don't want that to happen because it doesn't need to be treated.
Correct, and it's not just City of Milwaukee, all of Southeast Wisconsin, pretty much at mid-1950s, foundation drains went to the sanitary, but you're correct, we're trying to limit the amount of clear water going to the sanitary sewer so that we don't have those overflows to the lake.
So does a homeowner have a choice on whether they go with a sump crock and discharge it outside, or a sump crock that could actually discharge it into the storm sewer?
Yes, in this situation you would, because they have a storm sewer lateral in this house.
Okay.
We could have taken the sump crock and discharged the storm sewer lateral. We elected not to. This area in the house worked better. He had room in the backyard to discharge to, and it worked out better from an electrical standpoint.
Boy, well, this is a very important topic that we're dealing with on today's show, and we're getting the awareness out there. And it's great for the homeowners to understand that, hey, if you're in the MMSD service territory, there's some funding available to offset some of the costs. We have competent contractors like yourself that it can assist. And at the end, the whole community wins.
Correct.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on today's show and walking us through this very important topic. We'll see you again on another show.
Thanks, Stu. It's been my pleasure.
For more information on Building Wisconsin, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and be sure to watch additional episodes on YouTube or at our website, buildingwisconsintv.com. The preceding program was sponsored by the Building Wisconsin Television Network.